Hello everybody, my name is Hardy. Today I'm going to show you how I improve my experience in using Emacs version 23. So first, a bit of background. Why am I using this version 23, this rather old version? The reason is because my company uses GIS software, a geographical information system software called SmallWorld. And inside this SmallWorld, the way they use SmallWorld is by booting it from inside Emacs. Now how they do that exactly is, if I right click this shortcut here, I go to properties, I get to see these commands. The target property. So the first one is this executable, this GIS executable, followed by a few arguments. So the first argument is this GIS aliases, which I'm guessing sets up the environment for our GIS software. And the next one is environment.bat, which I also don't understand, followed by Emacs. Alright, so if you can't tell by now, I'm not very familiar with Windows and I have not touched Windows for close to 3 years. I've been using Linux for 3 years, and you can see I have no clue in understanding this. I do not quite understand this command, so if anyone can can explain a little bit what all this means, feel free to reply in the comment. Right, so now if I double click this, now first let me show you this one. So as you can see here, this is the version that they use, and I managed to actually successfully install version 28. Unfortunately, the documentation on how to set up this SmallWorld with this recent version is quite sparse, or that I'm actually quite bad at hunting this document, so I don't know how to actually do that. So I decided to just use 23 and see how far I can go with improving the experience of this version. Now if I click this shortcut, EO demo, it will open up Emacs version 23. So you can see python.org. Now this is just notes that I wrote myself, and I store it in a repo, so anything I learn online, whether it's art, woodworking or anything, I store it in these notes. Very useful. Org mode, if you're not if for those of you who are familiar with Emacs, very useful. And anyone who has any experience using Emacs for their personal life will already be quite familiar with org mode. So as you can see here, I improve the font, the default font that came with it, as well as the size of the heading. I'm going to show you how I did that, and I'm going to show you how I managed to load two configurations for two versions of Emacs. So I'm hoping one day I will manage to actually set up this GIS software with the more recent 28 version by managing two different configuration files. So if I go to .emacs .init.el.emacs.d/init.el, and anyone who is familiar with Emacs will know Emacs will first read this file init.el. Now if I open init.el, you can see here this code is actually quite simple. It's basically just a conditional at the top, an if conditional. Right, if conditional. Now what this if conditional does is check the version of Emacs. If it is less than 25, meaning 23, it loads this file called init_save.el. So this is the one I'm using for the GIS software itself. If I want to add on top, I will just have to experiment with init_save. I created this one. The company did not create this one. I just created it on top, and slowly adding to this, so in case anything weird happens, I can just remove this. Very simple, and it will work just as intended by the company. So sorry about that. Else, if it is not the Emacs version 23, it will load this init file, which is init_28.el. Now let's open up our file. Let's open up our file, init_save. So if this, so at the beginning, at the top of this init_save.el here, you see I'm adding to a load path this my.org.save, and this allows me to manually load any configuration, any interesting package I find online. And the next one is my attempt at Vertigo. So I just discovered this. Turns out Vertigo has a requirement of Emacs version 27. So unless you are using Emacs 27 or above, you can't really use Vertigo. So I'm hoping I'm going to play around with IDEO or iComplete. But if anyone can tell me what I'm doing wrong, that would be very helpful in the comments. So the next one is require org faces, and this whole entire code here I got from a very cool YouTuber called System Crafters. So this do list here changes the heading size of my org file. And the next one here, I'm sorry, this is very strange for me because the experience here is very different from my personal Emacs, so it's very unusual and it's surprisingly slow, even though my configuration on my personal Emacs is bigger. It's very strange, and this is a very fast laptop too, so it's very strange. For some reason the reaction of some selection is quite slow. So I changed the default font to Julia Mono 10, and so this one also changes the default. So I may explain this later in a different video if I decide to. And here I improved the bullets, right? The bullets of the org. Others will just be a bunch of stars. And the last one is also a very cool command, a very cool function, sorry. I got from a Emacs user called Zahli, very cool Chinese Emacs user. And inside this one, I simplified his code, but this function called Zah show in desktop, I bind to this command, Control-Shift-O. So let's say I'm gonna go back to my Python file, this python.org right here. Let's say I want to open it in Windows own native Explorer. So I go Control-Shift-O, and it automatically opens that file, python.org, as you can see, and in Windows own Explorer. So that's a very cool thing. So that's it for now, and this video is mostly just for me, but if it goes somewhere, I'm gonna be serious about it. So see you all next time. Thank you very much. Bye.